Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to the video I announced earlier this week. A sort of update on some things I'm doing, that you may have noticed I'm doing, and in tandem with that, I figured I would just do a little Q&A. You know, I'm finally getting settled in the new place. It's still not 100%, but it's pretty close to there. It's been a pretty nice filming space to be in, this sort of a guest room office area in the new place, and I figured I'd christen it with a Q&A, and again, just kind of an update on some things happening in the channel. I'll do the update after the questions, because you guys were so nice enough to ask me some questions on my Instagram, my Twitter, and my YouTube, and we will tackle those in that order, starting, of course, with... Now, the first question comes from my buddy Cam. Shout out to Cam one time. Thank you so much for the love and support, my dude. Hope you're doing well. He asked me top 5 songs you can listen to on repeat. 5 songs that I know I've burnt through in my own personal time.
I'm gonna actually change my first pick in the list. None of the other ones are gonna change, but I felt like talking about another older song. So I'm gonna throw, because there was a period where I was like fucking obsessed with Tonight, Tonight, Tonight by Genesis. And that was like my life for a while. And I still think that song is like incredibly revisitable. Some people don't like it, and I get it, but like I really fuck with that song big time.
Also, Step by Vampire Weekend. Again, I know when that first came out, I listened to it a lot on my my iPhone, because I had it digitally, and I listened to that way too much. And I know that that's definitely up there for like a song I've listened to one too many times. Same with The Eraser by Tom York. That's actually a song that I've listened to a lot in waves. That's a song that I continue to rotate. Again, when I had an iPhone 4 that didn't have a whole lot of space, that was one of the songs I know I kept on there, because I love that song. I love the pianos in the beginning. I love the switch up when it gets a little more energetic. I think it's a really cool ass vibe, and I love the lyrics of the song. I think it's really good. Loud Places by Jamie XX featuring Romy. Another song that I know when it came out especially, I was spinning it a shit ton. I love the soft atmosphere with that pulsing rhythm in it. I love the colossal hook of that song, and I love the build-up. It's like this huge wave of sound just collides over you, and you just groove to it, man. It's a cool-ass song that has a great atmosphere, and again, really good lyrics. I love the lyrics of that song. And then one I know I listened to a lot as a kid that continued to kind of bleed in through my teenage years and even to now, Juke Joint Jezebel by electro-industrial group Cam FDM. Specifically the Metropolis mix, the one that was on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. The guitars in that song are so good. And even in the original version, the chorus, when those additional vocals come in, it's just so snarled and disgusting, and it's fucking killer. Such a killer groove, such a tight industrial jam that just gets you going. It's a good ass energy. Next question is a little more serious. It's by my buddy John. Shout out to ARTV. Much love to you, pal. Thank you for the support as well. He said, do you ever face burnout as such a consistent creator? What gives you inspiration? Funny you should ask me about the first thing, because I recently did a couple things to stave off burnout. One of the things that I feel like helps me stay going is variety. You know, you guys know I got a lot of shit going on. What you don't know is I actually do pre-production for a lot of my videos like months in advance. Like, even though I haven't sat down and announced certain videos or like shown that I'm working on them, I'm working on like 30 videos in the background. I've got a skit for a roguelite run that's not debuting for not Sunday or next Sunday, but the Sunday after. I have the footage for the next roguelite run ready to go. I just gotta shoot the intro skit. I have like 4 playlists for Redacteds that I'm gonna be tackling in the future. I have next month's Redacted already filmed. I just need to edit it and put it on the Patreon for early access and put it on the channel for you guys in a month's time. You know, I I do a lot of pre-production, and I think because I'm kind of juggling a lot, or I'm like micromanaging a lot of different things, it feels like I'm working on something fresh a lot. One of the things I recently did that I'll talk about in the update portion was I changed my Friday slot to do something else because I was encroaching burnout on that particular Friday slot, and I needed something else just because it felt like I was stuck in a rut, or I felt like I was failing because I couldn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish for that particular slot. So I'm throwing something new in there, something else, just to keep it fresh. You know, I'm a big believer in keeping your own personal drive if you're doing this sort of thing. I mean, creator burnout is real. I have faced it a couple times doing this throughout my tenure, and that's why it took me a while to get back into the swing of things, and it took me to getting to this particular run. This saga of the channel is at a point where I'm, again, at that peak enjoyment, because I'm doing so many different things, you know, like, I have other lists that I'm working on. I have, like, 6 list videos that I'm working on, sort of, as time goes on, in tandem with the new music reviews. You know, it's all passive stuff. It's all pre-production. You know, I'm not sitting down and writing scripts. I'm not sitting down and shooting or editing anything. I'm just getting myself ready to film all of these videos. That way, when I get free time, like now, to film, I will sit down, knock it out. It's a quick shoot, edit, schedule to post, and I feel like by splitting those up so intensely and doing a lot of planning, it helps me stave off burnout. Because not only do I do a lot of pre-production, I do a lot of scheduling. I do a lot of planning of what I want to do when. You know, I plan out wiggle room, of course, because things happen, but I give myself wiggle room amidst a day off, or before work, or after work, time to work on a thing. You know, I usually know when I have stuff going on that I can dive into, I give myself free time. That's another thing. I feel like it's important to sit down and give yourself a chance to chill, because it is, like I said, creative burnout's real. And I think the variety, the level at which I pre-plan, the level at which I schedule, and the level at which I do pre-production really factor into how I stave off burnout in my current state. Because, I mean, I have a full-time job, I have a relationship to maintain, I have friendships that I really want to keep enriched, and I have this. And I do, again, 6 to 7 vids a week, in tandem with other shit that I do. And I feel like if I didn't do those big 4 things, like the planning and stuff, I wouldn't get as much done as I do. You know, I wouldn't get as much done in my free time. My free time would be a lot less active. There's a siren out there. My free time would be a lot less active if that were the case. And, you know, while I don't necessarily make buco bucks or make super big views, garner super big views, I still try to treat this like it's a legitimate thing. I still try to treat this like it's like a business, you know? And with that in mind, that's why I do all the stuff I do to stay as consistent as I do. I'm so sorry. You know, John, I didn't answer half of your question, pal, and I'm sorry about that. But to answer the other half of your question as to what inspires me, really, anytime I'm doing shit in my free time, I'll just think, oh, I could do a thing about this. Oh, let me try let me conceptualize. I do a lot of conceptualizing in my free time. You know, some of the early Wednesday Boys videos, I'd come up with ideas for, like, movies, or ideas for, like, a game that I would like to make, or, like, a campaign I'd like to tell in D&D. I use that a lot in my free time. That's why, like, I write a lot. I write a lot of lyrics. I write down, like, a possible idea for a list. Like, on break at work, you know, I'll just write down, like, an idea for something I want to make a video on. And throughout the day, while I'm working, I'll usually, like, come up with an idea. You know, or I'll have, like, a nugget
that I'm like looking at, and I'm seeing if I can really do a video about it, you know? Like, a lot of the list ideas I do stem from, like, conversations I'm having with people, or, like, if I notice something's going on, and I can, like, make a list about it to, like, tie into the topic, like, a topic going on in the world, you know, in the world of, like, pop culture, I'll do it. You know, I'll try, and then, like, if say the window kind of fades on like an opportune time to post it, like a poignant time to post it, then I'll sit on it for a while. You know, I'll let it stew. I'll kind of touch it up here, touch it up there. I'll kind of revisit a list. I have like a section on a document full of like lists that I'd like to explore. You know, it's all about like that pre-planning is what inspires me. You know, I think about stuff I want to do. You know, I think a lot in general. So doing it in a creative sense, like making reviews and making, you know, skits. Anytime, like, a skit I have coming out involving lemons stemmed from me just watching old commercials on YouTube, because I watch a lot of YouTube in my free time. You know, I watch, like, old commercials, like, old clips of stuff, if I, or, like, concert videos, or, like, you know, other topics, or like if I'm watching something about a game that I've been playing, or something with a band that I'm listening to a lot, you know, I just get inspired by indulging in content, in media, in songs and music. You know, I just think of what can I do that's spicy, you know. Because I've always been in that headspace of like, what can I do differently? You know, that's why when I realized there was a community on YouTube and I couldn't really find people talking about the discographies of bands that I wanted to listen to, I started making that shit. That's why, like, the early discography reviews are, like, just talking about the records, you know, giving some history about it while also talking about my opinions on it, you know, and that's why I broke it up by, like, decades, you know, to help people find it. But when I finally felt like confident to bring it back, I was like, alright, well, I don't know if my old format's really going to be engaging, I don't really know if it's going to work, I don't really know if I want to do videos like that, because one of the reasons I was treading burnout when I moved to Indiana was and that was when I took like a big break, it was because I was getting burnt out at the concept of doing everything I was doing. You know, my channel just seemed like none of it was really working. You know, that's why I vlogged for a while, because I was like, I need to get back into the spirit of making the type of stuff I want to make. And then I got burnt out on vlogging because living in the situation I was in was just hard to manage. You know, I didn't have a car, I was walking everywhere, and it was just an interesting life. And then when I started to come back, you know, when I got a car, when I, you know, started engaging more on the platform, because I was still watching YouTube a lot in my free time. You know, and I was doing the podcast with Mark. All of my content was just more passive until I finally started looking at ideas, because I was still making concepts for videos back then. You know, I was still, like, writing them down on sticky notes. You know, the music I was writing was all written on, like, sticky notes back then, because it was just stuff that I was thinking about while I was stuck in this mental state of being unable to really work on the stuff you want to do. So I just kept making stuff just in my head. I kept, like, planning things just that I kept thinking of wanting to do. And some of that still happens now. Like, a lot of what was going on with my Posse Cuts video, my Diss Tracks video, my Top Mario Games video, you know, to a lesser degree stuff like I Love This Level, you know, that sort of stemmed from post that early comeback, and I'm in, like, this state of, again, it's just kind of synergizing all of my segments. Like, now I'm in that, like, super productive mind state again. And it's great, because I'm just thinking about stuff I want to do, and I'm doing it on camera, because it's fun to do. Hopefully that answers your question to your liking, John. And then the last thing on Instagram we got was just a comment from Darren Brand, who said, "Don't forget to keep laughing, homie." I don't. I keep it laughter 24/6, because I sleep only for an hour at a time, or only one day out of the week, and with all the hours kind of built up. You could call me a chuckle train. Please don't do that, though. Now let's move to
So I made a tweet on Twitter announcing this, and I got a couple questions. Firstly, from Shake, who said, "How are you so handsome all the time? Love Grandpa, send tweet." I'm not. And then finally, on Twitter, we got a couple questions from Don't Fear Music. Shout out to you, Don't Fear Music, and shout out to you, Shake. I love you, buddy. You know that. You're right there. In my heart area. All the time. Don't Fear Music asked a couple questions. Will I do a Discog ranking of Smashing Pumpkins? Someday. I don't know when, though. But I plan. That wouldn't be a bad one. The second question was, am I a fan of Griselda? Well... And the last question he asked were, what are some albums you think are criminally underrated? Driftless Pointed Club's last record, Zestera, not really a whole lot of people talked about. Thought I had some good maturation of some of the songwriting ideas that they've explored in the past, along with some great hooks, and so just the type of musicianship you would go to expect from them. When I do their updated discography review, I'll do a little more in-depth discussion. They're working on a new record, so I'm waiting to do that one. The Fall of Troy's comeback, Okay, was also incredibly overlooked by some people, but it was fucking tight. It had a lot of aggression back with that same technical thing that coded their technical playing thing that was in their earlier work, done in a very fresh way. I enjoyed Okay a lot. It was a cool record that not a whole lot of people talked about. I will continue to fight for The Terror by the Flaming Lips until I can't anymore. I love The Terror. I think it's up there with some of the best work. It has a great use of ominous sounds and really a lo-fi approach to some ideas that is super fucking trippy and out there. But I like it a lot, and I think it's a really overlooked record as time has gone on, and they've continued to make more underwhelming projects. I feel like this is sort of unfairly lumped in with those. Another record that I actually probably will do a Let Me Tell You About on, but 347 EST by Klaatu. It is a 70s pop psychedelic album that is very Beatlesy in a very real way. I love the sounds of this record. There was a point in time where some people thought it was the Beatles under a new pseudonym. It's so accurate to the Beatles sound in a very real way that I feel like nowadays would get, shat on in the same way that like Greta Van Fleet did, but it does enough to stick out and be its own thing without being tremendously like the Beatles. It's just Beatlesy enough. Sort of like a Pretty Odd, but in the 70s. It's a dope record, honestly. I feel like people don't... If they know of it, they think it's solid, but I think it's a little better than that. I think it's really good. And then lastly, I think the most underrated solo Wu-Tang solo record is Master Killer's debut, No Said Date. Like, I know he was not very prominent on 36 Chambers, but like, when it came time to like dropping his own solo record, he did a pretty good job at pulling together some dope-ass shit. Whether it's the title track's use of the same sounds done on Outkast's Aquemini, having Old Dirty Bastard play Red Fox and Old Man, bringing in a decent Raekwon Ghostface collaboration with DTD. It's a good fucking start for this guy that was seemingly one of the more understated members in the Wu-Tang Clan. I like No Said Date a lot. I think it's really good. It's not my favorite Wu-Tang solo project, but it's up there. It's a really good one in my opinion. I feel like it's just a smidge underrated in my opinion. Now let's go to... Sure, there was only one person who left a comment on the video I put up. It's by Ryan Schilling. First question, they asked a couple questions. The first question they asked, what are my thoughts on the band Gojira? I love Gojira. I talked about them on a Mad Sounds podcast with Crash and Mark when Mark was here in Indy visiting us. I'll link that in the cards somewhere. But I love Gojira. From Mars to Sirius is one of my favorite metal albums of all time, and I think their catalog is incredibly solid. Even their last record that people really didn't seem to like, I was pretty avidly in the defense of. I thought it was a good expansion of their sound, and I liked it a lot, and I like seeing them live. They're an incredible fucking band, super talented. One that's a heavy contender for like an upcoming discography review for sure. And I'd put them up there as like one of my favorite metal bands for sure. I think they're incredible. They have a really good run, in my opinion. In my opinion, drums are super technical. Very underrated drummer. The guitar sound is super fucking chunky and in the best way possible. And they know how to really reach the fucking shake the rafters in their own cool way. Yeah, I love Gojira. I've been fucking with them for a minute. And then the last question: what story do you like more? Into the Spider-Verses or PS4 Spider-Man? I like Spider-Man PS4s a little more. I love Into the Spider-Verse. I think it's a dope story. Definitely the best Spider-Man movie we've had that encapsulates a lot of what makes Spider-Man as a concept, as a character, as a symbol, work very, very well. But Spider-Man PS4, while seemingly another Sinister Six story, does a couple things differently and so very well to not only establish a really cool world for this particular Spider-Man to live in, but it puts Peter in an interesting stance. You know, I love that Spider-Verse sort of made Miles more apparent to the world, how cool he is. Because I love what they've done with Miles. I love that, like, the Prowler plays into his character. I love how that in Spider-Verse is a huge part of his story. I love how that Peter acts as a mentor to this Miles in a way that Peter in PS4 does as well to that Miles. But I love the dynamic between Peter and Octavius in PS4. I love that Norman Osborn is the mayor of New York. I love the Kingpin in that story. I like the Kingpin in Spider-Verse as well, and I like his morals and his drive to do what he does, why he's doing what he's doing. I love that. I love the octopus in that movie. But Spider-Man PS4 also does some crazy shit in the third act that immediately made me want a sequel. I'm excited for the sequel to Spider-Verse, but I would say I'm more excited for the sequel of Spider-Man PS4. Whether the Miles game ties into that or not, because I know that's kind of a side joint. I'm fucking hyped for that, though, because I'm excited to see what they do with Miles, if they bring the Prowler into it, because they did a lot of obscure villains in PS4, and they didn't do the Prowler, so that'll be cool. But, yeah, there's a lot of shit in Spider-Man PS4 that I really, really enjoy as a fan of Spider-Man's universe. Like, as a fan of Spider-Man, Spider-Verse hit me right here in a lot of ways that I was expecting and that I wasn't expecting. But PS4, shit, dude, that is a cool-ass Spider-Man universe that I not only have been inspired to, like, come up with my own stories for, but also have been really enjoyed diving into and watching evolve as I played the game. Those are my questions that I answered in the Q&A. Now for the update portion of the video. As you may have noticed, on Fridays, I have stopped doing the Finish Friday games. And as I said in the Q&A portion, that is the thing I switched to stave off burnout. I want to finish these games, guys, but man, am I getting burnt out on doing so. And it could just be because of the points I'm at in the games that I'm in, and because I'm limited on the games that I complete because of technology issues. But I'm getting burnt out on it. And I want to complete them, but I think I'm going to transition it into a streaming thing where I will do them on stream, so that way I can get more of it done. It's not really as much editing as much as it is just sitting down and play the games for you guys at length. Because some of the games, I also have a lot to do left in them, apparently, conceivably, and in one instance, very much so, pretty much the whole game. And I want to keep that a thing, but I want to do something else, and that's why I'm doing the Modified Fridays, because I love doing the Modified Mondays runs, and when I was done with the Finished Fridays, I was just going to make it another Modified slot, but because that's probably not going to happen for a very long time, I'm going to do it now and do the Finish Fridays games on stream. I don't know when the first one's going to be. Probably sometime next week, because I do have time off to myself more. And so I will probably knock out a stream of a game for that. But yeah, that's where the Finish Friday stuff is going. Just because I need something new, need something fresh, need something a little more engaging with me personally. And that's what's going to be it. Because the modified runs have been really fun to do. And I hope you are excited for them. I nudged the camera, but that's okay. And then the last real update, I think, I have to bring to the table is what happened Thursday. The Summer of 16s thing. The remix of Justin Bieber's Intentions. That is not a one-off thing. Throughout the summer, to celebrate dropping the mixtape finally, I'm going to be doing 16 bars, or not even just 16 bars, a verse over an instrumental, various instrumentals. It's going to be shorter form tracks, just to kind of keep the creativity going on the rapping front, because I like doing the hip-hop. Now that I'm doing it, feels good to do, and I figured you guys would enjoy more hip-hop if you liked the mixtape. So, yeah, they're going to be dropping intermittently. If I keep at the scheme I'm going, because I already have another one done, and another one I'm writing. So if I keep with this momentum, it might go for every other week. Similarly to like how I'm doing my Sunday thing. I may just drop a track here, drop a track there. I don't have like a concise schedule for it. Just whenever I feel inspired to do so. But if I do have like a good train rolling of creativity, yeah, it'll probably happen every other week. Just for a little while throughout the summer. Just because I feel like it. And that's pretty much it. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for those that submitted questions. Thank you for those that continue to support the channel. If you did like this update, if you did like this Q&A, if you were happy with the answers I gave, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and general notary content, be sure to subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons if you would like to join their ranks to get early access to content, exclusive content, and help drive the community. It is linked in the description. I'm going to get out of here. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have been Daily Lives and Situations. And I'll see you another day.